Hello there, good morning. Welcome to Newsroom here on GHOne Television. We are live from our studios at the Platinum Place, Northridge, also live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube at GHOne TV. Now, here's what to expect in the next hour. Otumfuo say to the second reopens mediations today to chart a path towards restoring peace in Bawku. Also, NPP thank you tour splits heads as former government appointee slams Dr. Bawumia over alleged blame game. We'll talk to you about court setting June 5 to deliver judgment on mechanic linked to notorious armed robber Ataa. And elsewhere, International Court of Justice starts hearings on Israel-Gaza aid blockade following death of over 61,700 Palestinians since the war broke out. Well, we've got the details of these and more coming up shortly. Kindly stay with us. Well, grateful for your company this morning. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. The details of our stories now, and we start from the Ashanti region, where Otumfuo say to the second has revived his mediation efforts in the Bawku conflict starting Monday, April 28, 2025, as part of broader initiatives to foster lasting peace in the region. This renewed intervention follows a commitment by President John Dramani Mahama, who reaffirmed the government's support for the Asanteheni's peace initiative as a key pillar of national reconciliation efforts. In a statement issued on April 15, Otumfuo say to the second announced that a series of mediation sessions will take place from April 28, which is today, to May 1, which is Thursday, at the Mensah Palace in Kumasi. Now, networks and we'll get to know more about that, because the Asanteheni's mediation is seen as a critical opportunity to build inclusive and sustainable peace in Bawku, a region that has faced recurrent ethnic tensions over the years. So let's now cross over to Zoom and speak to our man in the Ashanti region, Isaac Justice Bediako, to tell us more about this particular mediation efforts that kickstarts today. Isaac, so we can see behind you, it's quite a busy place, but talk to us about what is happening in the Ashanti region, Mensah Palace, as we speak.
Well, Joshua, as I speak to you, as you can see from the background, Otumfuo any moment from now will be seated in the Mensah Royal Palace meeting place, where he'll be receiving delegation from the that today is the reporting day for the mediation process. So today, the delegation that are coming will not sit. However, tomorrow, that is when the official sitting will start. But today is a reporting day. And as you can see from the background, Mensah is busy at this morning. Security arrangement has already been done. What I'm learning is that tomorrow, no vehicle or foreign vehicle will be allowed access into Mensah Palace. Any vehicle that will be coming to this particular direction will go through security scrutiny before the vehicle is allowed to enter here. And so all these security arrangement has been made prior to tomorrow's sitting. So the news is Otumfuo any moment from now will still take his seat, and there's going to be a breaking news where the Mampong Traditional Council is coming to formally inform Asantehene Otumfuo Osetutu II about the unfortunate news that has happened, or development that has happened within the Mampong Traditional Council. So the Mampong Queen Mother is here together with Ejurahene, who is also one of the kingmakers in that particular Mampong traditional area. You know, Mampong Hene is the second in command. And so in line with tradition, yes, based on what I'm telling Joshua, I'm sure you have an idea of what the conversation will be. But because of our respect for tradition, we are not able to break the news. But the Traditional Council has arrived here in Mensah Palace to officially, in line with tradition, brief Otumfuo Osetutu. Then we will formally break the news on our network for our listeners.
Fantastic. But still talking about the Bawku crisis and then the mediation efforts in Mensah as we speak. You mentioned that today is reporting day. So do you have an idea of who and who are supposed to report today for the mediation process?
Well, for this, we know that the two factions will be reporting. However, they have not given us full briefing on what they are going to do from tomorrow going. So we are still in the palace trying to get information from the palace secretariat so that we know how to position ourselves so far as this conversation is concerned. Then the modalities for covering this particular mediation process would also be made to us.
Isaac Justice Bediako, thank you so much for that reporting there. And would also be crossing live to Bawku now, because as we have been told by Isaac Justice Bediako, the two factions are in Mensah, or will be arriving in Mensah today, being reporting day for conversations to start tomorrow, as Otumfuo also rekindles his mediation efforts. And so we'll be touching base with Atungo Kasim, who is our reporter in Bawku, on the mood in Bawku, and then how indeed what the expectations of the people there are with regards to this mediation efforts. Kasim has joined us via phones from Bawku. Kasim, thank you so much for joining us. So what's the conversation in town, knowing that Otumfuo has rekindled mediation talks? Hello, Kasim, can you hear me? Well, we'll try and get a clearer connection with to Kasim in Bawku, and then we can have the conversation on what the people of Bawku are also expecting from this particular mediation efforts that has been reignited by the Otumfuo in Mensah, and then we'll get to know the way forward. But we'll bring him as and when we do have him, we'll have that conversation on that. Well, Kasim here is on again. Kasim, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Fantastic. So what is the conversation in Bawku like, especially knowing that today Otumfuo is beginning what it is supposed to be, or what is the mediation efforts?
All right, so let me say a very good morning to viewers and then to listeners. At Bawku currently, as we speak, Bawku is not normal like it used to be, or sometimes used to be. I'm saying this because as our Otumfuo begins the mediation today, as it was announced already, when you get to the town and then the areas within the Bawku enclave, you can see the mood of the people. Some are excited, some are also worrying, and the outcome of the mediation. And this morning too, we saw a release from the Interior Minister page talking about case being received in Pindori district. This has brought a lot of suggestion from the people in the area, asking themselves what can be done for the review. Others also suggest that maybe the mediation of the Otumfuo not be in favor of their side. That is why the security want to do this and be able to control. So when you come, businesses is not like it used to be. People are not all that powerful in their numbers.
And so what are the expectations of the people going into this particular conversation with the Asantehene?
Yeah, so when we get close to some of them, I think there's a piece, we haven't heard any gunshot within the area.
Right.
Like I said, they are just wondering and then think about how the outcome will come. The majority of them believe that Otumfuo mediation can bring lasting peace to Bawku, for business to come back or to return back to normality as it used to be already. So people have the trust. 90% of them believe that this will come a long way to bring peace to an area.
Right. Thank you, Atungo. We'll leave you and then we'll come to you as and when we get more developments from the area. But let's now cross over to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the Foreign Affairs Minister and some government functionaries are also launching the chip-embedded passport. Let's listen to Samuel Okutito-Ablakwa.
There are 6, and I'll ask you to come along with me. So the first reform, obviously, is to switch from the current biometric passports to chip-embedded passports. Number 2, we are commencing 24-hour operations here at the passport head office from today, in line with President Mohammed's vision of the 24-hour economy. And we are proud to say that we are probably the first institution to start fully to roll out President Mohammed's 24-hour vision. Number 3, today we are starting with direct passport delivery at your convenience through courier service. And this is the first time Ghana is doing that. You no longer have to come back to the passport application center for your passport. And remember that we don't have passport application centers in every district, not even in every regional capital. So imagine how the frustration has been. For example, if you are in the Upper East region, you don't even have a regional passport application center. So you have to do a 4 or 5 hour journey to Tamale, the closest passport application center. And the transportation costs back and forth. Today, we are ending that. You can have your passport delivered to you conveniently. You don't have to risk your life and risk your resources on these up and down journeys. We are also glad to announce, as part of this direct passport delivery, that our lead partner in this delivery endeavor is Ghana Post, our own beloved Ghana Post. And yesterday we had a simulation meeting, and you should see the joy that the management of Ghana Post expressed. They said that this is really going to revive Ghana Post, and we share in that joy. And I'm not surprised that the communications minister, the Honorable Sam George, is here to witness this momentous occasion. There is a junior partner to Ghana Post, that is Truskit Company Limited, fully Ghanaian owned company, and they will be working with Ghana Post. So this is a Ghanaian enterprise. We are not bringing in any foreign entity. Ghanaians can do it, and we are showing our belief in Ghana. Reform number 4. We are also activating immediately an e-tracking system to allow all passports applications to be tracked by the end user. As soon as you commence your passport application process, you can track all the way. And yesterday, the demonstration was done by our IT partners. Right from the beginning of the application process, if your forms are approved by the passport officials, the system will tell you that it's been approved. If there are outstanding documents, the system will tell you that you need to bring those as outstanding documents. And then after you have done that, if it's approved and is being processed, you will be told. You will be told how many days, how many hours are left. When the passport is printed, you will be informed. And when you are ready to receive the passports, you can track every minute, every second. When the courier agent calls you that I'm on the way, you can track with the agent until you receive the passport. And at the end, when you have received the passport, we also have a system where you can confirm biometrically that you have received. We are not encouraging any proxy deliveries. We want you to receive it. Only on rare emergency occasions, probably on medical grounds, are we going to be doing proxy deliveries. And we have a dashboard that the minister management will see that indeed the passports are being delivered and end users are confirming that they have received the passport. So proper e-tracking that allows all of us, everybody in the value chain, to appreciate what is going on. Reform number 5. We are pledging today that we will deliver your passport under 15 days. From today, the 28th of April 2025, it should not take more than 15 days for ordinary applications. And for expedited applications where you pay a little more, you are guaranteed delivery under 5 days. That is the pledge we are making to you. The Goro boys have triumphed because of the delays, because of the bureaucracy. That is how come they've existed all these years. Once we're able to do this in 15 days, under 5 days for expedited service, who wants to go and pay 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 cedis to some middleman or Goro boy to have their passports? So we can boldly declare that from today, the Goro boys have to go get some other jobs. And we are ready to recruit them. If you want to be dispatch rider to help us deliver or to work in our 24-hour operations, we are ready to give you a more, decent and a more dignifying and legal job, very legal. And you can proudly identify yourself that you work with us at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not hiding under the shadows as a Goro boy, a job you are not proud to declare. Reform number 6.
So you heard the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa outlining some reforms, and the interesting bit is that within 15 days upon application for an ordinary passport, you should be able to get that passport, and I'm sure a lot of people will be very glad at that. We'll get you more in subsequent bulletins, especially News Tonight here on GHOne television. But away from that, the New Patriotic Party appears increasingly divided, with internal tensions rising in the wake of the party's National Thank You Tour, a post-election initiative aimed at rebuilding grassroots support. Now, after the 2024 general election loss, the party launched a wide-ranging internal review, culminating in the formation of the Professor Mike Okwe Committee. Now, tasked with investigating the causes of defeat, the committee has now concluded its work. Now, the next phase, according to party insiders, involves reconnecting with the base through nationwide engagements. At their first stop in the Western region, the party's 2024 flag bearer and former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia cited key issues that contributed to the party's defeat, including the high cost of living, perceptions of government arrogance, and the controversial debt restructuring program.
All the studies are so far. The big issues are: one, cost of living. Nema bo ekosoro ahochire ebai. The kanu eye adia yefre no arrogance of power. Yasu na eyeti. Yasu edi yetie asem. Party for country and say, Yenya reshuffle. And yes, sir, 8 years, Yanti.
All right, so let's have a conversation on this, because right after this happened, there's been some back and forth in the party, as some members of the party feel that Dr. Bawumia is shifting blame. Let's speak to Kwesi Kwarteng. He is a communications team member of the NPP. Kwesi, thank you so much for joining us. He's joining us via phone. Kwesi, so as it stands now, what Dr. Bawumia said, is that the truth or not?
Well, I am of the view that matters like this, the solution to uniting our party does not rest in blame shifting. My expectation was that in matters like this, at least the former vice president, the bold in leading the party, all of us to take a collective responsibility on the roles that each of us played in ensuring that we had this humiliating defeat.
So, Kwesi, how is it shifting blame in this context?
That's why I'm saying that I don't want to align with this whole conversation about the blame shifting. Of course, I'm also a member of the party, and I'm mindful of protecting the image of the party within the public space. But I am of the view that Dr. Bawumia, if indeed he is leading this thank you talk, then it is only fair that you also have to step in and take responsibility for all the things that cause a defeat. And at the end of the day, we'll be able to make lessons and move on from there. I don't want to use a blunt word of saying blame shifting, but what I want to say is that at least I expected him to take full responsibility as a leader and not necessarily to come and re-echo the causes of our defeat. These are already known in the report. We do not expect re-echoing of what caused our defeat. We already know. Thank you, Joe, and we expect that indeed we express gratitude to the people. But to come and re-echo and re-say some of these things, I'm sure it's the more reason why we are having some of these backlights there.
You say you expect him to take responsibility. How do you expect him to take responsibility? Because he's indicating what might have or what led to the defeats that you saw. So how do you expect him to take responsibility?
Ultimately, the back rests on leadership. And he was the flag bearer then. It's on the ballot. And at the end of the day, he's even the one leading the thank you tour. Then what will be the basis of even him leading the thank you tour in the first place? Certainly, ultimately, the back rests on leadership. And as a leader, you should be able to take bold decisions. And taking bold decisions also means that you have to even take that bold initiative of being accountable and also taking that ultimate responsibility, whether things went right or things went wrong. For me, I genuinely felt that we've even passed the stage of re-echoing what made us lose this election. But of course, I mean, when you give platform for the politicians, they are likely to more or less whitewash themselves. But that is not the most important thing for me, if you ask me. The most important thing is that Dr. Bawku should be the one to lead the charge. All of us to take the responsibility, the collective responsibility.
Is he not leading the charge to do that because he says that we are sorry?
So again?
I'm asking, is Dr. Bawku not demonstrating that enough for you?
Well, I'm not sure I'm in a position to mark his remark.
But you say that you expect him to take responsibility, and I'm asking, is he not taking responsibility enough?
You see, that if you just suppose that with the commentaries and the remarks that you just played to your audience, then one can say that he needs to do more in terms of taking the collective responsibility, he leading the charge. If you, for instance, make remarks that fuel prices were increased in these elections and you were not aware, it gives room or it gives cause for people to assume or speculate that you are shifting blame. And I'm saying that does not demonstrate or show a true hallmark of a great leader.
Well,
as a great leader, you must admit and take responsibility no matter how the situation looks.
So specifically with e-levy, Dr. Bawku said he had a dissenting opinion, but then he was not president. He could not have had the authority to ensure that it was not passed. Isn't that fair?
Come again. I don't get your question clearly.
I'm saying, specifically to e-levy, Dr. Bawku, we are told, had a dissenting opinion, but as vice president, he did not have authority because there was a president at the time who thought otherwise. Is that not being fair to him?
You see, as a leader, you cannot appropriate a republic. That is one principle that we have to establish here.
Right.
It cannot be said that when there are good remarks about the government, make into it. But when there are unpopular decisions, you distance yourself from it. When you consistently do that, people may not even trust your convictions as a leader. And it is even the more reason why I am admonishing him that he led us into that defeat. Whichever way, whether good or bad, he needs to man up, take that responsibility. He gave a lecture about bold solutions. I mean, he should also be bold to take responsibility with some of these things. There is nothing wrong in the leader taking ultimate responsibility for a victory or a win. It demonstrates that you are an open person, you are an honest person, a trustworthy person. But when you keep shifting blame, that is where people may have
now, Kwesi,
question mark with the
Is it not the case that all this back and forth has a potency to disturb the unity that your party so yearns for?
I mean, certainly, but I am very confident that we will not even get there.
Okay.
Because the truth is that everybody is on board. We have a common goal to ensure that we unite the faith of the party.
Okay.
And that is exactly what we are doing.
Okay.
But I mean, like I indicated, when you give platform to politicians, at some point they may want to exonerate themselves, and that's what is playing out here.
Bro.
Of course, people may also have their different opinion, and that essentially even shows the beauty of democracy. But bottom line is what I have been reiterating. And if you take responsibility as the person who led us into the elections, I'm sure all these things will come to rest.
Okay. Kwesi, thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Now, reacting to this development, political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, stated that the former vice president cannot absolve himself of blame regarding the reasons that contributed to the party losing the election.
He cannot take himself out of the blame. He cannot, especially against the backdrop that he was the one touted as the economic messiah who was coming to turn things around. And then we saw something different. Then when even things became so difficult for Ghanaians, he was nowhere to be found. He was in digital space talking about a lot of things, even though they are not bad ideas, no. But the real thing that you were brought in as to complement the ticket of the president, that role that he was supposed to play, he abandoned it completely. And that is why, that is one of the things that caused the government. So here you are. People will read a lot of meanings into it that he was not giving opportunity and this and that. I don't accept that. He was at the center stage, and there's no way that he can win himself out of what this problem.
Now, Dr. Asah-Asante also stated that calls for the party to extend a reconciliatory hand to members who have been suspended from the party are in order.
As you and I know, it's a game of numbers. So every soul is important. You need to win and win more. So you have people who have built themselves in that tradition for a very long time. And to some of what your actions, the people who are out. Bring them back. Let them come and support the fight. And so I believe that you need to get all of them in. In the presence of Kennedy, Apola Foucault, Kwabre Japon, Alan Chermatin, and the rest. And then one more thing they need to do. Beyond this, you should be able to deal with the lingering, disagreement and conflicts that exist within the party, which were born out of the primaries. People are living in pain. People like Amakoba and Go in. They are very important actors within the party. They are so pissed. They are not happy. Settle those unsettled issues. All right. Deal with that, and then also get some of the people you have exiled within the party, bring them in. Then you are going to have a strong force that will rally behind the party and forge ahead.
So that's Dr. Asah-Asante there, also sharing his thoughts on the matters arising from the MPP's thank you tour and many others. But let's now get to social media and get your reactions to all that has been happening as a result of this issue. And Nana Akwa has joined me with your thoughts on social media. Nana, so how loud are they on social media on this particular matter?
I tell you, there are Bawumia supporters, but there are also people who have a differing opinion to them. We took from his comments on X. We'll start here. Instead of you to bring back those you deliberately offended, like Ken is saying, you're here congratulating someone who is hiding behind thank you tour to announce his flag bearership position. Continue deceiving yourself. Kofi adds, it's not my fault tour. We also have here Milo. I've been following the tour and I'm glad you keep on preaching unity and respect for all. We have Jaden as well. So basically, the thank you tour is not to Ghanaians but to MPP members, or I'm wrong. Then we have here Manuel. We are solidly behind you. We will present you. We will present you in 2028 to lead the party. We also have here, why aren't you blaming yourself for your own defeat? Jerry says, no Ken, no vote. We have here from the MPP grassroots. The grassroots must be heard always, Papa. We know what's going on the ground and can advise accordingly. Mr. Irish says, I believe this is a good move to unite the party base towards victory in 2028. We also have here, why will you blame everyone but forgotten that you were behind the economic mess and offbeat dance on campaign grounds? Still Ken 2028. We have here, Sammy, day one was great. Your words were really touching. I strongly believe after the tour, the big elephant is going to bounce back. You're the leader we've always wanted. Hashtag Baumia appreciates you. Les says, as usual, blamed everyone and everything but yourself and the dollar. Anyways, where is Samira? Is asking there. We have DJ Flo. You forgot to add your inability to absorb university graduates after 4 years into the GES, after making us fill out our details on the GES portal. How could you be treating us like this for years after voting you into power? We have Enoch here. We will not give Akufo-Addo a third term. You're a pushover and Ghanaians will not make that mistake, he says. If Ghanaians vote for you to be president, the party...
By the Center for Democratic Development Ghana, CDD. Now, the survey indicates that 51% of citizens believe the Ghana Armed Forces ought to assume control in such circumstances, marking an 11% point increase from 40% in 2022. Now, conversely, opposition to military involvement appears to be waning. Now, the proportion of Ghanaians who feel the military should never intervene has fallen from 55% in 2022 to 47% in 2024. Now, particularly concerning is the demographic shift towards support for military intervention, with the Ghanaian youth representing a significant proportion. So as it stands now, 52% of respondents aged between 18 and 25 endorse a military takeover should leadership fail, rising to 56% among those aged between 26 and 35. Now, gender disparities were also observed, with 53% of men and 48% of women supporting or expressing support for military involvement under such circumstances. Well, so let's speak to a governance analyst, Dr. Frederick Odro, on this rather worrying situation. Doc, thank you so much for your time. I remember the last time this particular Afrobarometer report came out, and I spoke to you, you said it was very worrying. Now that the number seems to be increasing, clearly it should be more worrying for us then. Isn't that the case?
Well, it is true. But it is not surprising if you look at the demographics. That it is the youth that want to, that has got this belief that the military would offer a better leadership than the current democratic transition. So it is, as much as it is worrying, it shouldn't be surprising.
But then, what do we need to do? Because there are some have engaged on this subject matter who seem to be in support because they have...
That military rule, it would have been better. But let me hasten to add that ignorance can also be a bliss. If you have not experienced it, you wouldn't know that we've had military interventions, not one, several in this country. And if you step back to analyze the effect of military rule on this country, it has rather set us back rather than helped us. So for people of certain age, it will be very difficult to convince any of us that it is worth, experimenting with the military in governance. Because the issue is about accountability. And they are not accountable to anybody. They have fought through brute fear of force to come to power. So they don't owe anybody any explanation. They do what they believe to be right. But then, if you look at all the ills that we talk about today, corruption, lack of development and all of that, it was even worse under the military rule than it has ever been under a democratic system of governance. So we need our politicians to be up and doing. We need to also educate our people about the dangers of some of the things they wish for.
Doc, thank you so much for your contribution to this particular matter. So while we are talking about this, there's a protest today. The Anti-Galamsey Convention is taken to the streets today, April 28, calling for urgent action against illegal mining activities. Now, the group says that despite repeated promises, the country's forests continue to suffer destruction. They are demanding a total halt to small-scale mining until safer, sustainable practices are adopted. Kwame Apiakubi, a lead organizer, speaking to GHOne TV on Friday, explained why today's protest is critical.
The president who is in power, who is in office today, promised us they ought to be ahead of the election. The promise was very simple. When we come into office, the promise was very simple. When we come into office, we are going to repeal LI 2462. Now, today we are told.
So that protest at 2 p.m. today will definitely bring you updates in subsequent bulletins. Let me take you to the court, where the Court of Appeal is set to deliver its judgment on the case of Yao Asante-Jekum, a mechanic who was jailed for 35 years in 2002 for his alleged association with notorious armed robber Raymond Aite, also known as Ataa. Now, Asante-Jekum, who has since served 23 years in prison, will know his fate on June 5. Now, a three-member panel of the Court of Appeal, presided over by Justice Janapare A. Battels Kodjo, and also including Justice Stephen Opong and Justice Abuaji Tando, adjourned the case to June 5. Jekum's lawyer, George Bernard Shaw, argued that his client's only connection to the incident was that he had repaired cars for Ataa.
When I got wind of the case through the efforts of the then governor of Southern Prison, I looked into the case and I felt that there were some grounds of appeal because there was no evidence to link him either with the conspiracy or with the actual operation carrying out of the robbery. So I filed my appeal out of time, obviously, but the court agreed with me, and then it's been a long journey. It's almost 8 years now, because first of all, the records of the court were missing. We had to go to archives. We have to do a whole lot of things. So the appeal is now ready, and it's now for judgment. And I think because it's my belief the Attorney General did not file any submissions in opposition, which basically because I think when they looked at our submissions, they knew we had a good case. So our submissions are before the court, and today we were told that we were expecting judgment today, but we were told that the court will give the judgment on the 5th of June.
Well, let's get more on this. Mutala Yunusa has joined us from court. Mutala, so as it stands now, June 5 is the date set. Tell me what happened in court today.
Well, Joshua, like you already heard from lawyer George Bernard Shaw, the three-member panel of the Court of Appeal, the second highest court of the land, was expected to deliver their judgment by way of the appeal that his lawyers have initiated on his behalf. But the case has to be adjourned to June 5, and the exact reasons were not immediately assigned to why the case was adjourned. But what is clear is that the convict applicant will have to go and come back that day, hoping that he will be this time lucky. In fact, since December 2022 was when he was convicted for this very offense, conspiracy with Ataa, the notorious armed robber we do know is currently at the Ankafo prison. So he came to court with his lawyers, hoping that I can see, together with some prison officers, leaving the premises of the court moment after the case has been adjourned. But for he thinks that whatever connected him or whatever landed him in jail ought to be looked at, because for him, he has already been receiving, in fact, he's a mechanic that has been working on vehicles, that he little did he know that, in fact, it was Ataa who is known for these high-profile robbery cases which he got himself involved. So more like a victim of circumstance. But for now, he spent already 23 years in lawful custody, but the lawyers are hoping that the 35 that he's been given, if his case is heard by the Court of Appeal,
he should be let go.
Murtala, we know there's a lot also happening in the court complex. Talk to me about what else is happening there.
So, Joshua, you note that in recent time there was a news about a gentleman who was Nigeria, a Ghanaian, who actually played a role in the sale of property to Ghana, a diplomatic property, of course. And Samuel Okudjo, for those who remember, on the 15th of April, did indicate that the gentleman in the midst of this whole thing who received that particular amount, $1.5 million for the sale of that property to Ghana, has been arrested. Yes, this is he made an appearance at the court here in some other days. Specifically, we are told that on the 17th of April, he made an appearance. But of course, the court denied him bail, remanded him, and urged the officers of investigators to expedite action by way of investigation so that once everything is concluded, the exact charges that have been preferred against him, what we understand, the provisional charges, stealing, money laundering, of course, some others would have been preferred against him and his plea taking. But that has not happened. Today, his lawyers, led by Andrew Kodjo, has moved a bail application before Justice Mary Mami Ikwe-Yenzu. Prosecution indeed opposed to that particular request, but what the court has determined is to the effect that he be granted bail in the sum of 2 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. And in fact, the sureties are persons who should be a public servant earning a gross salary of not less than 6,000 Ghana cedis. Also, the court has added that they should report to the case investigator once every 2 weeks. And of course, Land Commission and its officers are supposed to examine the properties that will be used to execute the bail bond and ensure that they are authentic in nature. And also the court is making sure that the sureties should deposit their passport as well as the accused person.
Right.
So if you look at the whole thing, Bright Mensah also has made an appearance all in relation to the diplomatic property that the allegation has come to the effect that he received some $1.5 million for the sale of that property to Ghana and somewhere in Nigeria. So the case has been adjourned to sometime next month, hoping that he'll be able to execute his bail condition.
Okay. Murtala, thank you so much. Murtala Inusa bringing us updates from the court here in Accra. And of course, this is news from here on GHOne Television. We'll take a short break and return shortly with more. Kindly stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's now bring you the latest in the world of business. IMF Mission Chief for Ghana, Stefan Rudet, says Ghana's economic program is on track and should end successfully, achieving the targets and structural reforms outlined for the country. Another thing that has given us some assurance is that necessary laws have been instituted to enhance fiscal discipline going forward. And that's what Rudet stated during a media interaction with Ghanaian journalists at the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. Now, he emphasized that these legal frameworks will help control budget overruns and address debt vulnerabilities. Now, he is also asking what basically we're pushing for has already been put in place regarding the laws, and that should act as a check on government spending going forward. Well, let's have a conversation with Professor Patrick Esumin. He's an economist on this particular development. Prof, thank you so much. So what we see now is that the outlook, basically, according to the IMF, is looking bright. Does that give us some level of assurance then as to how we'll be able to recover as a country economically?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to viewers. Thanks for having me. So I think the outlook is bright in terms of being able to meet the targets in the IMF program, and in terms of following through what we have agreed with the IMF. As to whether it means the outlook is bright for the long-term future of the Ghanaian economy, I'm not so sure.
Right. And so in line with that, what specific measures do you think that we should be looking at now, even though, yes, the outlook for issues with the IMF is bright and does not necessarily translate to our economy? What measures should we be putting in place now?
So now let's start with, because our problems are many and they are varied. So let's start with dealing with public finances. What Stefan Rudet is saying is that we start the necessary legislative framework to ensure that we are dealing with that aspect of the problem. Now, that is true. What he misses is that we have a history of passing legislation and not following through. We've had cases where we had a limit on central bank lending to the finance ministry that we didn't follow through, and nothing happened. So while it's true that we've passed the legislation and we've strengthened the Public Sector Financial Management Act, and we've added punishment to sanctions to it, it doesn't necessarily mean that the sanction will be enforced and that we will suddenly become fiscally disciplined. So that's one part. The other part is our issue that the IMF doesn't deal with, and that's the big one. The issue that the IMF doesn't deal with is that the IMF is not going to turn our economy from primarily consumption-based economy to production-based.
Right.
Or if we change our economy from being import-dependent to export-driven. That is something that the IMF program will do, and that is something for the government of Ghana itself to do. And that is what we haven't made progress on so far, regardless of whatever the outlook is for the IMF program.
Right. So clearly, we would have to take some responsibility there and also tighten belts to ensure that we are doing the right thing. Prof, thank you so much for engaging with us. That's Professor Patrick Esumin. Let's bring you sports now.
Now, many thanks for joining me here on Sports Brief. My name is Monica Bukari. Let's begin with home news. The newly appointed coach Karim Zito successfully guided Kumasi Asante Kotoko to defeat Ediana Stars 1-0 at the Babaya Stadium on Sunday to Gold Stars. The 23rd minute strike from Kwame Poku handed newly appointed coach Abdul Karim Zito his first win as he returned the Porcupine Warriors to winning ways. The forward shot from close range to beat goalkeeper Masao Wudu Inusa. Coach Karim Zito shared some reactions after the game.
He has come back. That's what football is all about. The moment you go into a game and then you fail, you still have the opportunity to make amendments. So I think today that was very poor. Today we have the opportunity to make amendments. So this will energize us to the rest of the game. Thank you very much. I would like them to come and come more. We are going to fight. Without them, we can't do it. With them, we can do it. So I stand on behalf of my technical team and say thank you.
Now, Accra Hearts of Oak board member Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo has called on fans to remain patient with head coach Abubakar Ouattara despite the team's difficult start to the Ghana Premier League season. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo believes it is too early to guide and compares their situation to Manchester United's, where patience is key in building a strong team. He spoke during an interview at the plaque unveiling ceremony of a founding father of Accra Hearts of Oak, CB Nete.
I agree with supporters when they get annoyed, but it should not be annoyance that will destroy the club. You follow me? In football all over the world, they're having successes and failures with clubs. You follow me? Look at Manchester United at the moment, where they are. A club no one in the English league to joke with. But today, look at them. You follow me? So they should exercise patience. We are passing through a phase, and I believe strongly that very soon we shall definitely overcome. They shouldn't forget also that we are putting structures in place for the club. Look at our new secretariat. No club has it. Look at our commercial center. No club has it. Look at Pobiman project. So that should tell you that the leadership is not sleeping. They are working hard. And I believe strongly that very soon they will see the fruits of our labor.
Now to the English Premier League. Ghana international Antoine Semenyo was named man of the match on Sunday after a stellar performance for AFC Bournemouth in their clash against Manchester United in the English. Antoine Semenyo, 25 years, scored the opening goal of the match in the 23rd minute after he was set up by striker Ivan Ellison. Now, unfortunately, the Black Star striker 9th goal of the season was not enough to give AFC Bournemouth all 3 points. Manchester United pushed and scored in added time of the second half, scoring through Rasmus Højlund to force the contest to end in a 1-1 stalemate. Let's now see reactions from Manchester United coach Ruben Amorim.
It was a tough game. The start of the game was hard for us. High pressure from the opponent. We lose some possessions in our build-up, and the goal is like that. And if you look at our games, it's always a little bit our fault the way we suffer goals, and then everything is so much harder to do. But if you look at the game, especially second half, and especially with the sent-off, we arrange ways to get inside the box, and that is something that we are improving. We create chances. We managed to score one, but I feel that we lost two points today.
Now that's all for sports. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Joshua.
Many thanks to you, Monica, for bringing us the latest updates in sports. But before we go, on the international front, the International Court of Justice has started hearings on Israel's responsibility to ensure the humanitarian aid reaches Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. Now, it comes after Israel banned the UN agency UNRWA and blocked aid from entering Gaza, raising fears of famine. Now, since the war began, over 61,700 Palestinians have been reported dead while around 1,100 Israelis were killed during the Hamas attacks last October. And that's how we draw the curtains on news from here on GHOne Television. There's more news for you at starfm.com.gh. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Thanks for your company this afternoon.